Hello everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome to my channel, Amber Reads Romance. Today I'm here with my weekly wrap-up. I'm going to be going over all the books that I read for the second week of September. I am having such a blast with this romance readathon, so I've been trying to stay on task and read as much as I can. So I do have another 11 books to talk about this week, which is really great. Much better than I was doing at the end of August. So let's just quickly dive in because I hope this video isn't going to be too long with 11 books to cover, but you know who I am. So let's go ahead and get started with my weekly reads. Okay guys, before I dive into my reads, I do want to do a shout out thank you to the team ballet dancers. You guys are killing it. I'm having so much fun. I love our team. Everyone is just so dedicated and reading a ton and really diving into those why choose shifter romances. Unfortunately, I haven't done as much as my team with the tropes. I did like half of it from this week because I had a bunch of ARCs and ALCs that I had to read. So, you know, that's just how it is. But I tried to fit some like shifter and, you know, reverse harem or white shoes in this. So anyways, thank you so much if you guys are on the ballet dancers or even if you're just joining the romance readathon. It is a blast. The Phantom is making us paranoid and fight and go crazy, and it's a lot of fun. So anyways, let's go ahead and dive in. So the first book that I read was an ARC, and this was Loving the Liar by Lola King. This is my first book by this author, so I thought it sounded interesting because it didn't give much information when I requested the ARC, but it was like second chance, college, secret society, dark romance. And I really had an interesting time with this one. I think it was very dark. It was very spicy. There's a lot that goes into it. And it is definitely giving me Gossip Girl plus like The Skulls, if you ever watched that movie in the 2000s, that kind of vibes. And I had a great time. But our hero is definitely one of the most manipulative, smart, crazy, over-the-top kind of heroes. He was giving me major Sam Mariano type of vibes, and if you love Sam Mariano, you know what I'm talking about. This guy was next level. The things that he has done, the plans he sets in place to get his woman, when they are revealed, they'll blow your freaking mind. But anyways, let me actually tell you what this book is about. So in this, we have Chris and Ella. And Ella is basically kind of like, it really gives me Gossip Girl vibes, kind of like, even like the Serena or the Blair. I'm a Blair girl, so I'm thinking Blair, where she's the it girl of the school. She's Miss Popular. She's the queen bee. Everybody wants to go to her, wants to be friends with her. She very much puts off this public persona, but she has a lot of stuff internally that she's struggling with and with being perfect. And so she is currently going, this is the first book in the Silver Falls University series. She is currently going to that school and she's really struggling. Her family is like a prestigious family and she wants to be a ballet dancer. She wanted to go to school for dance. But her father basically made her go to school to be a lawyer, even though it's way above her. She doesn't even care about it, so she really struggles. So in this, we even have her bringing up how she had to she slept with her professor to help her pass the course just to get through. And so she's already kind of done some bad stuff here to just try and struggle to get through. Now she is single. She hasn't really dated. She has sex with, you know, guys or whatever, but she's not really with anybody because her heart was broken from Chris. He was her brother's best friend, and they secretly dated and were together when she was like in high school. And then he broke up with her 4 years ago, totally broke her heart, and basically kind of like chose her brother and their friendship over their relationship. And so he's been gone out of the picture, but he always calls her and reaches out to her because he like wants to keep her, you know, interested and always in her life. What ends up happening is her dad is part her dad is part of a secret society called the Circle, and stuff gets leaked about her father, and that she might have even had something to do with it, where he had like kind of like not fully sex trafficking, but like stuff going on where girls were being taken there to his house to kind of have sex with these people in this you know, secret society. And so her family is under fire right now. They're losing, he was going to basically be arrested for all this other stuff and their money seized. So they owe the Circle like a bunch of money, and now they're in a bad situation after her dad like kills himself. We don't really know if he killed himself. I'm going way too much into this, but there's a lot going on. So they're in a bad situation, and Chris comes back into town around right when this happens, and he kind of steps in. His family was part of this secret society, and he's about to get put in there as a certain thing, and it's really complicated. I don't want to go to the like all the secret society stuff, but basically they have like a woman that he gets to, in his initiation, bring on to be his future wife. And then there's these other ones that I think they were like Aphrodites or whatever. I can't remember what they were called, but they end up being like the mistresses. So like her mother wants her daughter to go in to try and be even like a mistress or anything to save their family from ruin. And so she's just in this really bad spot. Her brother's trying to help her get their family out of the situation. And then Chris all of a sudden is in the picture. He is going to be like the assistant, the TA in her class with that teacher she slept with. So lots going on. And in this, Chris is doing whatever he can to get her back. The problem is that he has a girlfriend that is about to be going to this initiation thing to be his future wife. And so she wants nothing to do with him. But there's a lot going on behind the scenes of things that happen, because she does end up trying to go into that competition thing to be either the Aphrodite or a future wife. And things go to hell from there. I'm sorry, being kind of vague, but yeah, explaining a lot about this. But basically, it's revealed that Chris is like a puppet master. He's been kind of like gaslighting her, fucking up her life. There's a lot of things he's doing behind the scenes to get her back, and he will do anything. So this was one of the most manipulative, crazy, possessive, like scary kind of psycho planning kind of hero I've ever seen. But at the same time, he is a cinnamon roll for her. I don't know. He's crazy, and I was fascinated by him because he comes off as the golden boy. Everybody loves him, but only she knows like his really darker side, because he's also very into BDSM, and there's slight daddy kink going on between them. The BDSM, I gave this 5. It's this on the spice scale. This is a 5. It is very spicy. There's a lot of BDSM. There's toys. There's a lot going on in this. And part of it I just didn't really enjoy with the sex, but you might like it, is the ball gags. They use like different types of ball gags, and it doesn't flow for me. I don't like the ball gag thing. But this book was crazy. There was twist after twist. There's reveals. You get to see how crazy Chris is, and I didn't even know if I really wanted them to be together at certain points, but Lola King did a really great job, because by the end I was behind them and I wanted them to be together. So I don't know. I gave this 5 stars. It was a wild ride. It is kinky. It is spicy. So if you want to try and read a dark, manipulative hero that will die for his woman, check it out. Like, I honestly, I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to trying some more of Lola King's other books, because I think she even had like a White Shoes one, because one of the characters was brought up in this book. Anyways, I'm already talking way too long on one book, so let's get this going. The next one I listened to on Audible Plus. I had started the series a while ago. It's very YA. This is The Alpha by Kristen Coley. And this is the 3rd book in the Pack series. I decided to continue with it because I am shifter team, shifters. And it's on Audible Plus. They're very quick. I can listen to them in one sitting. But they're just not holding my attention. This is very like YA. There was no spice. This book, they finally have sex. So I'm like, yay. but it's not, I don't know, it just didn't hold my attention. So in this, it's the continuation of Dom and Jess, and he's a shifter. She's like one of this like kind of shifter, not shifter, but like able to breed with shifters, I guess. And so she had moved out here. It was very like Twilight-esque kind of thing where she moved out to live with her dad, and then but it doesn't have vampires, but you know, then she ends up finding her mate, which is Dom. In this, Dom is like, they've already been together, they're established couple, but they've had troubles with this other pack that's kind of fucked up and evil, and so they've been kind of after Jess. And in this, Dom is kind of establishing his own pack now and becoming the alpha of that pack. And her mom shows up and tries to kind of like kidnap her to take her away from the pack because she has ties to the one that was like the evil one. And she doesn't want her daughter around that kind of thing. So there's all of that going on. But I don't know. It was okay. Like, honestly, it just doesn't blow me away. But it's an easy, quick little listen. So I ended up giving it 3 stars and like 1 chili. Like, it doesn't really have much spice in it, even when they finally have sex. Okay, so then I listened to The Forgotten Phantom. This is by Ksthryn and Kingsley. This is the first book in the Creature Feature series. I've never read this author. This was put up in our Discord as like type of one that we could buddy read. And I ended up, I think, getting it only for like $3 or something on once I got the Kindle Unlimited book. So I decided to listen to it. I do have to say, I think it would have been better if it had a female narrator. It was all from a male narrator, but it didn't bug me too much. But I do listen to a higher speed. I know some other people didn't like the audiobook as much in the Discord, so you may want to read it physically if it doesn't work for you. Okay, so I read this obviously for the romance readathon. I got a lot of extra points for this being Phantom. And this is really a Phantom of the Opera retelling, obviously. But in this one, it's got a twist because Kristen actually works for like this group where they're like kind of like monster hunters kind of thing. And they send her out to investigate this Phantom of the Opera. And so she goes in. I think she was like, instead of being a singer, they made her do like costume design, even though she's talented. Or maybe it was the violin. I can't remember. I'm reading a few different Phantom ones, so I'm kind of mixed up. But she ends up catching the Phantom's eye, and he becomes obsessed with her, and he wants to make her a star. And so he, does some nefarious things to make her a star. He's actually a spirit that's there and everything, but can be physical and touch her. And there's I enjoyed the spice in this. I didn't think there was going to be any spice. So it's not super spicy, but I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was fast paced. They had a good connection. What I enjoyed was, we actually get the Phantom with an HEA in this book. So that was fun. I mean, it's not amazing. It's not the best book I ever read, but I had a good time with it. And it was very close to the original, just a little minor changes, obviously with HEA and everything. So I ended up giving that one 4 stars and 3 chilies. Okay, and then I listened to another book on Audible Plus. I did this one because it was shifters and actually a why choose. And this was Hungry for Her Wolves by Tara West. I've never read this author before. It's the first book in the Hungry for Her Wolves series. And this just didn't work for me. It was a chaotic mess. It is about Amara, and she is kind of like a lone wolf. She didn't realize there were other shifters and wolves out there. And this guy, Luke, ends up coming into where she works at this veterinary clinic, kind of lives in a trailer out back, because she can have this ability to tell what sickness any animal has, like, just she can feel it and know what's wrong with them instantly. So she actually works there and helps out, and she has her dogs and everything, and she just loves her animals. But Luke ends up coming in because he had scented her from like over like 400 miles away or something. I can't remember how far it was. And so he went to go find her because she is their fated mate. And it's him and his 3 brothers, I think. Hold on, let me count. Oh, 4 brothers, I think. Wait, 3. And that's what's wrong with this too, is like none of the brothers were like distinguishable to me. Like, that's my problem with a lot of white shoes when they don't do it right, is I didn't have any character development on any of these guys where I felt like I knew each character. It was very surface level. So Luke ends up coming, his brothers kind of follow him, and they basically take her kind of against her will to go live out with them. It's in Alaska, to be in their like tribe kind of thing. And she has to learn the ways because she wasn't ever born like with her. So what ended up having is her father was a shifter, had sex with a human woman, which they're not allowed to do, even though he had a mate. And so that's like against their laws and stuff. So he had no idea he had this daughter. And supposedly she's tied to like a goddess, like this, their goddess or something, maybe talked the mother into doing this. I don't know. It's weird. But my problems with this was, like, it was just instantly horny for each other, her creaming panties, and she can't control her impulses. And she's supposed to be this badass independent woman, but she really doesn't fight back with them, literally picking her up and like moving her away from everything she knows. And like, I just couldn't care about any of the guys in this book. And then one of my pet peeves, oh my God, I hate this so much, is she's a virgin, but like they have to wait for a certain ceremony to have sex with her, so they decide to do anal. So she goes from a virgin to anal. I'm like, you're not a virgin if you have anal. That's my opinion. But that is extreme, to go from that to like anal right away. Like, it bugs the shit out of me, and she's just so hot for it. She can't wait to do anal, whatever. It drove me nuts. So I ended up giving this one 2.5 stars and 3.5 chilies, and I definitely won't be continuing. I only finished it because it was on Audible Plus. I quickly got through the audiobook, and I wanted to get the points for my team. So I wouldn't really recommend it. Okay, so on to a better one. I read In the Details by Julia Wolf. This was an ARC. This has been released already, so you can definitely go pick it up. If you see my channel, you know I love Julia Wolf. P.S. You're Intolerable was one of my top 10 books from last year. Honestly, it could have been in the like really top if it wasn't for Binding 13 and Keeping 13 in that series. That really took up most of my top 10. But P.S. You're Intolerable was a 6-star. I freaking loved it. And every book I've read, like in her series, is usually like a 5-star. So in this, it's a new series, but it's actually tied to that previous one because I think it's Your Inconvenient Wife. In that is Luca, and this is his sister. So this is Clara and Jake's romance. And in that book, things go down. In Luke's book, things go down really bad for Clara with her and her husband. She is now divorced because everything went down, but she was pregnant at the time that happened. She's divorced. He's in jail. It's a lot going on. Definitely recommend reading that book. But she is basically a single mom. This is like a few years down the road. She's a single mom. She is the COO of her brothers and their company, their family's company, which is like a motorcycle company. And so she's a hardworking, straight-laced, kind of busy single mom. And she is like, loves riding her motorcycle, and she's gone like out of town before to like this bar, and she ended up meeting a guy there, Jake, and they had a one-night stand. And she has gone out there a few times. She goes out there every couple months or whatever, and they would have like a one-night stand. They have insane sexual chemistry and all of that. Well, then she runs into him in the real world because she ends up getting like her taillights were broken and stops by one of those like kind of like Pet Boys or one of those type of plays, like, you know, auto places that you can go to. That's like a chain. She ends up going there and getting help, and he's there. Now, she's kind of like, what the heck, you know? And kind of awkward. And the meeting doesn't really go well. It's not leaving them in a good place. And then she ends up running into him again because her family is in talks to invest and then help this other, that company, which is his brother and him run it together. But his brother is basically the main controller of that, and he helps out in the company. And so she meets him there, and they kind of like meet up, and they decide they kind of want to try things in real life, like try to see each other. Now, she hasn't been dating because she was really burned by her ex, and so she has a lot of trust issues, and they're both bringing baggage to this. He is also a single dad, but he didn't tell her, so that kind of threw her for a loop for a little bit. But don't worry, it doesn't stall things. But he's also a single dad, and he's wary of ever being in a relationship again because he was dating somebody and his daughter got really attached, and then she just ghosted him, and his daughter was devastated. So they're basically kind of really want to date and be together, but they're also being very careful because of the way they were hurt in the past, and they're very protective of their kids. But I really loved this. I loved Jake. He was very swoon-worthy. He's like amazing father. I love like the kids in this are so sweet. Like he actually like braids her daughter's hair and then like braids her hair. And it's a really sweet moment. He's just amazing dad. And I gotta say, I loved his ex. Him and his ex are in a really good place. They got pregnant when they were like in high school or like really young. And so they're not together. Like she's married and has other kids, and she's so supportive of him and like so friendly to Clara. And it's just nice to not have the other woman drama or like the crazy ex who makes their life hell. Like this woman is supportive and wonderful. So I really, really appreciated that. So I really like this. It wasn't a 6-star for me because the third act kind of annoyed me. But I don't know if it'll annoy everybody else. But I really enjoyed it. It was spicy. Like Julia Wolf does spice really well. We have a curvy heroine, and I love the way Julia Wolf writes curvy heroines. So I had a good time. I ended up giving this one 5 stars, and then it was 3.5 chilies. Okay, so then I listened to another audiobook. I listened to When Hes Dark by Suzanne Wright. I love Suzanne Wright's Shifter series. I've read the Phoenix Pack and the Mercury Pack. A lot of those are available on Read and Listen for free. That's how I first started listening to and like reading Shifter romance. Now her books are kind of like they're very formulaic. Like it's like the same formula a lot of the times. So maybe don't read them back to back, but I still really enjoy them. And this one was actually available on Audible Plus. So this is the start of a different series, and this is the Olympus Pride series. And what I loved about this is actually tied to one of the characters in the previous books. I think it was in the Phoenix Pack that they were introduced. But this is like the Palace Cat kind of shifter, and I really love them. These Palace Cats are like so cute. If you look up a Palace Cat online, it's cute. But they are feisty ass bitches. So I love the Palace Cats. And then it's also a Palace Cat and then a Wolverine. So I really liked it because it wasn't just the basic like wolf shifter. Suzanne Wright does mix in some different types of shifters too. So in this, we have Alex and Bree. And Bree is a Palace Cat. And she has been, like, her true mate was basically a psychopath that she didn't want anything to do with him. He didn't want to be mated. He even, like, threatened her that he would kill her rather than be mated to her. And then he ends up, like, kind of falling off the face of the earth, disappearing. His twin's still in town, his family, and they all think he's alive. And they, keep kind of pressuring her to want to stay mated with him. I think it's even been like 12 years. I can't remember the long time. It's been a long time since I've seen him. And then Alex is a Wolverine. He's not like, obviously the Palace Cats, but he's like helps run or take care of like that Pride. I can't remember how it's set up, but he's tied to the Pride. And they've been like mutually pining for each other for years, but never going there. Alex didn't really want to be mated. His mate actually died, and so he was never mated to her, but he just acknowledged, they realized they were mates right before she died. So that's the thing too, is that it's like, if you aren't with your fated mate or your mate, you can kind of connect and mate in a different way, but it's not, obviously it's like a mating bond, but not like the mates, whatever. I can't remember what it's called, but anyways, he basically hasn't been dating or anything like that, but he decides finally that he wants to go after Bree. And she's actually been under attack. Some shifters have been hired, or like some kind of thing, to kidnap her or take her. And so she's in danger, and he really wants to help protect her and be her mate. And, you know, there's hints being left that maybe it's her true mate and that he's really alive. So there's a lot of action and mystery going on. It's very low angst. They pretty much get together and they are in it with each other. And I really love that. So I had a great time with this audiobook. I ended up giving it 4 stars and 3 chilies. Okay, so then I had an ALC, and I listened to Love You More by Stacy Travis. This is the first book in the Buttercup Hill series. And I really love the setting of this. Maybe it's just the wine girl in me, but it was at a vineyard. It's this family-owned vineyard, and they also have, like, you know, a whole like restaurant and whole thing there. And I really loved that setting. So this is between Jackson and Ruby, and Jackson is a single father. He is struggling because he's kind of the brother in charge of like the finances, and his dad has dementia or Alzheimer's. Dementia, I guess. And he is sometimes available to kind of help out, but you know, he has to be lucid, and he's kind of holding secrets about like what money he spent and what happened with certain stuff. So money isn't looking good, and he has a lot of stress on his shoulders. And then Ruby shows up randomly really early in the morning one day to the house to interview for a job. And she came at the wrong time. It was supposed to be at PM instead of AM. And so she ends up interviewing with the wrong brother, Jackson. He's very grumpy. This is a grumpy sunshine. He doesn't want to hire her. She wants to get a job as like kind of like a bartender at the wine tasting room. But really she's been going to school and to become a sommelier. Is that how you say it? Sommelier? Anyways. And he's like, you're overqualified. But she ends up she's going to come back and interview with his brother. Before that, she runs into Jackson's daughter, and they kind of hit it off. And she kind of offers, you know, hey, I could be the nanny, because you said you needed a nanny if I get this job. So it's like really weird setup. So he's like, if you get this job, then you can become the nanny too. And then she gets it. So she becomes his nanny, and he really wasn't prepared for this because he's very attracted to her, and they are both kind of like pining after each other and interested. So, you know, it was cute. It was like low angst, cute. I was different than what I was expecting for the nanny romance, because she really wasn't there to be a nanny. She just offered herself up so she could get this job. She had been through a lot because her parents died, and she helped take care of her sister for so many years. So I don't know. I had a really good time with it. It was a easy breezy, sweet, fun, little quick listen. So that one was narrated by Erin Donahue and Hannah Chiclana, and I don't think I've ever listened to those narrators before, but I really enjoyed the audiobook, so I gave that one 4 stars and 2.5 chilies. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go over these next 2 because I didn't really love them. Let's just preface that by saying I listened to this duet. I ended up buying the audiobooks. So I forced myself to finish these because I bought the audiobooks, and it was for the readathon, because I got The Dancer and the Masks is the first one. And this is a duet, and it's basically a Phantom of the Opera type of retelling, but it's a Why Choose. So it's like, and it's very dark. And so I'm here for the dark romance. So I ended up getting both the audiobooks. So on the first one, it's Dancers in the Mask, and we have Christy, and she is our heroine. She is kind of got this beauty mark on one half of her face that she like covers up with Cover Up, which I find that hard to believe that you're able to cover up that whole type of thing. That'd be some pretty crazy cover up, but whatever. And her sister is like kind of like this mafia chick. I guess it's from like a previous series. And she had killed these guys' dad, who was kind of like the sex trafficker, weird, sleazy asshole. And so she gets kidnapped by these guys as revenge against her sister. And they have this whole like group of girls that are all numbers. They take away their names, they kind of break them down, and they're all like basically Stockholm syndrome, where they're happy with their place in this life, where they're like artists, you know, performers, and they all perform and then like get bought to like have sex with like rich guys and stuff. So she's taken into this. She's not going to be forced to have sex with any of the guys because she's supposed to be theirs. So we have Jacob, Conrad, and Leon, and they are all fucked up. They're all super dark, have kinky stuff, and, you know, they're all supposed to share her, but Jacob wants to punish her, and he wants to hold them off from having sex with her, so they don't even have sex in this book. And like, he even like puts a chastity belt on her. He has the key so his brothers can't get with her. It's just super freaking weird. I didn't really connect to any of the characters. The brothers were all like super dark. Their father raised them to be like super dark and fucked up and all that kind of stuff. She's also a seer, so she can see the future. So she like knew they were coming for her and everything. So it's weird. And there's lots of like fantasy elements to this, of like prophecies or like what's meant to be, and like this tree that's crying. I don't know. It's all over the place. It's a chaotic mess, honestly. So the first book I ended up giving 3.5 stars and 3 chilies, because even though they don't have sex, they do a lot of other spicy stuff. The second book is The Masks and the Dancer. And this one I ended up giving 3 stars and 4 chilies. It picks up after the cliffhanger of the last one, where they were like almost killing her. Basically killing her. And that's where we leave off on the cliffhanger. And then now it's the resolution of her basically getting all these guys to fall in love with her. And that was my problem, is Jacob is like fucking horrible and bully and abusive. But then, like, he switches way too fast, and then he's, like, all in on her. And it just felt so... ugh. So, I ended up giving that one, again, I gave that 3 stars, and I think I'm being pretty generous. The audiobooks were good. I like the narrators. It's just, these just didn't work for me. This isn't, like... And I love dark romance. I love DobCon. I love non-con. But that's not what the problem was. It was with these characters, the character growth, the chaotic story. Like, I don't even know what the fuck was happening half the time. So, anyways, that's enough of that. Okay, so then I read The Phantom's Pet. This is a really quick little novella I wanted to fit in. And I had a fantastic time with this. This is like a Phantom of the Opera retelling, but it's like more of like a monster. So like this chick, she sees this ad to like for screenwriters or like people that want to become writers to do this group, and it's at this old opera type of house that has basically been like kind of shut down and hasn't had any performances done there, and so they're trying to do these things to bring people back. And so she shows up, and it's kind of weird, and she remembers going there when she was younger, and that she saw opera there, and that there was this weird like shadow crazy thing she saw watching her, and it freaked her out as a kid, and she sees that thing again. And so it ended up being set up that these 2 people that were running this workshop are setting up to have people for the Phantom to kill, because the house needs sacrifice. So there's a lot of gore and killing because he kills them like a monster. And then also for him to have his woman. So he needed a woman that he wanted to breed. So we got a little bit of breeding kink in here. And so he could have an heir to carry on. And so it was crazy. It was really quick. It's like 79 pages, I think. And I had a good time with it because he's kind of like a monster with a monster dick with like claws as hands. But he's like kind of human too. So I had a good time with it. It was fun. So I gave it 5 stars because I love monster stuff, so I loved it. And I think it was like 3.5 chilies. Okay, so the last book I listened to was an ALC, and this is Undeniable Love by Samantha Chase. This is the third book in the Wilder Love series. I just read a previous book in the series that I enjoyed. This one is between Jax Wilder and Lucy, and Jax is the NFL quarterback. He's kind of later in his career, thinking about retiring. You know, it's kind of hurting playing football. And he kind of had a plan to open up this kind of camp for, like a sports camp for disabled kids or kids with disabilities, because when he was younger, him and his best friend were in a bad accident that he feels guilty for, you know, and his friend didn't get to play football after that. It affected their family. And so he really wants to do this. And so he's thinking that's like the next step in his journey. And so he like kind of reaches out to his best friend to start this up. And he wants his best friend's sister to be involved because she's a pediatric physical therapist, and he thought it would be really great for her to be a part of it. And that is, what was her name? Lucy. And Lucy, the problem is Lucy hates him. She has the wrong perception of like the accident was his fault. He was supposed to be driving, but her brother drove. And it was like also his father that hit them because he was out of it, because he's got a horrible father. So she totally blames him, and, you know, he's like kind of blown away by this because she has no idea what she's really talking about. And so she quickly learns the truth and like how he's helped out the family, and like her brother had actually been drinking but said he was good to drive. So her brother has no ill will against him at all. Like, he doesn't blame him. So they kind of quickly come to terms with the fact that like, oh yeah, you know, I shouldn't be blaming him. So she decides to help out with this project, and her and her brother end up staying with him for like a weekend. And they decide that they're definitely attracted to each other. And so they start to secretly date and see each other, but it's also long distance. And how is that going to work? Also, he's dealing with a lot of issues with his public image because stuff went down one night way before he got with her, where a girl like stole his truck that he brought to a party, and she like now is claiming that she's pregnant. And so it's a lot of drama he's dealing with. So this was okay. Let me just warn you, there's no spice in this. It is closed door, which I'm not used to. If you like closed door, that's fine. I need a little bit more spice. I mean, just give me those 2 chilies, 2.5, something. It was literally, it would be passionate leading up, and then it's like, oh, he's such a bed hog, and he wants to cuddle. And I'm like, what? So that threw me off. Other than that, I think it was a good book. Really quick audiobook. I listened to it while I cleaned the house in a day, so really quick. I do have to say the third act kind of came out of nowhere, and I thought it was stupid. So I probably would have given this 3.5, but since it's an ALC, I rounded it up to 4 stars. And then again, 0 spice. So those are all the books that I read this week. Again, another long video for me, but I'm having a great time for the romance readathon. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you subscribe to my channel. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know if you're in the romance readathon. You know, anything you want to just jot down in the comments below. I really appreciate it. Make sure to like the video, and I will see you guys on the next one.